Yo, what is up you guys? Barokoshama here with another Elemental Shaman video, and today we're talking about BFA Alpha, so Battle for Azeroth Alpha, the Elemental Shaman changes that we see. This is going to be a new series for my channel where every time they release a build with some decent or significant changes to the Elemental Shaman, I'm going to release a video about it, and we're going to talk about it, opinions that I have, what Blizzard is doing right, what they're doing wrong, and what they can improve on. So with this video, we're going to talk about all the new stuff that's come up, including the Azerite gear, all the passives, and stuff like that. We're going to be talking about talent changes that have been recent on the alpha build, how they look, and damaging abilities, squishes, all that stuff, all the changes pretty much. So let's talk about what the changes are currently on the alpha. So Aftershock, everybody knows about Aftershock. You use this currently on live as a talent for the Gamble build. This was moved from the 60 talent tree to the 90 talent tree, so it opens up a lot more possibilities to use that specific talent. Moving on to Ice Fury is now moved to the 30 talent tree from the 45 talent tree. This is nice because before it was set up, you couldn't actually run Ice Fury and Elemental Blast and Echo of the Elements at the same time. So now you actually have a little bit of wiggle room with currently on the alpha with those talents so that you can pair them together, some of them together. Liquid Magma Totem received a 1.4% spell power buff. Not as significant, but I guess with the number crunches that is pretty big, I guess. You would obviously still use this in big AoE situations, but we'll talk about that later. Nature's Guardian got a slight nerf slash buff, I guess? I don't know, more of a balancing prune. So when your health is brought below 35% health instead of 25% health, you instantly heal for 20% of your maximum health. The old ones that said, attacks that bring your health below 30% increase your maximum health by 25% for 10 seconds. So this actually counts as a heal instead of just like a big health increase. But it cannot occur now more than once every 45 seconds. So like I like this change because it's like it's more of a class healing effect. So that's also going to I want to say like maybe it could be changed, the value of the 20%. I don't know. It might be stuck in place like a health stone, but a passive health stone is pretty damn nice. I like that. Instead of increasing your total health pool by 25%, it just heals you for 20% of your health with that, which I think is nice. Let's see what else is in here. Storm Elemental. I think it got a slight nerf. I really don't like the way Storm Elemental works right now because it's really only its value only comes when you've actually stacked up a decent amount of stacks of Lightning Bolt charges with your Storm Elemental. So also not having it gain passive Maelstrom for you now is kind of a letdown. But we'll talk about how that looks on the actual like gameplay version of this video. Totem Mastery also got moved to tier 60 talent tree, which yes, finally. So it's actually on the same tier as Storm Elemental. So we can either go for Storm Elemental with like a burst kind of gameplay or Totem Mastery with a more like passive. Keep in mind that those two talents are also on the same tier as Liquid Magma Totem. So you guys get a little visual about that. And Unlimited Power is actually a new talent that replaced Elemental Attunement, which was increases your damage of your Earthshock and your Earthquake and Earthshock abilities by 20%. So this got changed to a passive ability that whenever your spell's Elemental Overload, you gain 2% of your haste, 2% haste for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, so up to 10% additional haste. But gaining a stack does not refresh the duration. So I have actually yet to get up to 5 stacks of this with the current stats that I have on the alpha. I think Fulmination got slightly changed here. Let me see. Yes, okay, so Fulmination, our Maelstrom generation got slightly nerfed, but it's not as bad as you guys are thinking when I say that. So Lava Burst spells generate 15% Maelstrom. Apparently, our Lightning Bolt and our Lava Burst spells generated 15% Maelstrom. I don't remember that happening on the alpha, actually. It was kind of a pain to gain Maelstrom before. But Lava Burst, or Lightning Bolt now generates 6 Maelstrom. Lava Burst generates 8 Maelstrom, and our Chain Lightning generates 3 Maelstrom per target hit. So, yeah, things are a lot less, but you have to take into account the fact that our Earth Shock costs less and our Frost Shock costs less. So these changes to generating Maelstrom don't really affect us crazy amounts. But anyway, we'll get into the actual gameplay of how it looks and feels in a bit. Elemental Overload. Now, it doesn't have a... It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, because it no longer says 75% of normal Maelstrom generated, but, like, it just generates less Maelstrom than your first hit. Which is weird. I mean, like, I don't know why it wouldn't give us a set value. I'm not sure exactly what Blizzard intends to make this sound like, or I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Anyway, I wouldn't pay too much attention to this because it says it generates 0 Maelstrom, which is wrong, obviously. But one upside that I did see with this build, this alpha build, is that our Lava Surge chance got increased by 5%. And I've actually noticed this. I've noticed this. It's fantastic. It's so good. I'm seeing so many more Lava Surge procs now, noticeably on the alpha. On a scale of Lightning Rod to Ice Fury, ho, does the rotation feel in BFA? How does... feels Lightning Rod, bro. Yeah, it's very passive. So let's actually get into the way the talent tree looks. And I've also, like, played around with a few different talent build setups, and I've kind of found... I found one out that actually, like, it's pretty nice, it's smooth, the gameplay's not hard at all, which isn't very challenging, but I'm seeing some really big numbers with this. And I'll show you guys what I mean by this. It's pretty much a lightning bolt spam spec, but the idea behind this spam spec is that your Earth Shock increases the amount of damage that your lightning bolt does, and pairing that with your legendary boots, which currently work on the alpha build, is pretty fun. I don't know if some of you are like clicking right now and it's just like, oh, I see. Yeah, but I'm critting for like almost 10k on a lightning bolt. And 10k on a lightning bolt is pretty damn good with this stat squish. High voltage, also another thing that I'm finding really, really fun to work with. So if you pair high voltage with totem mastery, your lightning bolt can now cause a second elemental overload. I'm not exactly sure what the proc chance on that is. Maybe it just says whenever you overload, maybe it does do another overload. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it says can because you're not guaranteed to have an overload, but maybe this is guaranteed to proc that second overload, kind of like Power of the Maelstrom passive. But also Totem Mastery, which increases the chance for our Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning to Elemental Overload by 5%. I think the pairing between these two is very nice. I'm obviously going to skip over Spirit Wolf in this explanation of this build. But Aftershock is very useful because the more you Earth Shock, the more Lightning Bolt damage you're doing. And I like this a lot more than Master of the Elements because 20% increased nature or frost damage after casting a lava burst just doesn't even compare to how much more lightning bolt damage we're getting out of casting more earth shocks from aftershock. Like it's crazy how much more earth shocks you're doing, and those earth shocks are also hitting for quite a decent amount as well. The last tier, I have kind of like a little bit of love for Stormkeeper in this build just because instant cast lightning bolts. If I cast an Earth Shock and then I get the boots proc, I'm like, oh, I have an instant cast lightning bolt. Boom, use that, then Earth Shock again, and then use another instant cast lightning bolt. It's pretty nice. Like, you can do some pretty nice things with that. But unlimited power, like we talked about with how the changes were, this used to be that talent where it increases your earthquake and earth shock damage by 20%. They changed it now and it's unlimited power. So it's kind of like if you add ancestral swiftness again, except not as passive, obviously, because you have to get elemental overloads. Currently on the alpha, I only have 24% maelstrom, so I'm not hitting those elemental overloads as much as I would like. But this entire build kind of revolves around your lightning bolt damage, and I want to show you guys that, like what those big crits look like, but I want to get into like other talents as well. So Earth and Rage is still here. I don't know why. Nobody ever uses this, like, ever. It's never been used in the whole... I've never seen anybody use this in the entirety of Legion. So I'm pretty surprised as to why they decided to keep this talent. Blizzard, if you're watching this video, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. I don't know, like, move unlimited power down to here. Okay. Replace Windrush Totem with Gust of Wind. Put Prima Elementalist up here. I don't know. What do you... Like... Nobody uses this. It's wasted. It's a wasted talent slot. Anyway. It's the same thing. Elemental Blast is now on the tier 15 talent tree. And Elemental Blast actually does hit for a decent amount of damage. 1.6 mil, I almost said 1.6 mil. I'm so used to Legion numbers. 1.6k. If it crits, it's going to crit for around like 3k at 116 with 2,313 intellect. If it crit, let me see if it'll crit here. Yeah, okay, so 4,300. A decent crit, right? It's pretty nice. It's not like the almost 10k crits that I'm seeing from Lightning Bolt, but you can pair this with Echo of the Elements and get like a very similar playstyle that we have on Legion right now. You know, you have that nice similar playstyle close to home, right? Oh, gotta keep that Elemental Blast on cooldown, you know. But anyway, yeah, so you can have that, right? But you can also play Ascendance, and it's also... Whoa, I'm in combat. You can play Ascendance. Okay, Total Mastery as well, Aftershock, or even Master of the Elements. I would like to go Master of the Elements with this, because with Ascendance, if you Earthshock right after an Ascendance, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit more damage, but Prime Elementalist is another thing. Like, you can... There's so many different builds that I haven't tried out yet. One thing that I really want to see is damage meters on Alpha. I know currently they're not allowed, but I just want to see it, just so I can like actually give some more feedback on how these builds are comparing with each other. But you can have a similar build, like I said. So Echo the Elements is on tier 30 now. Barokoshama, if Ice Fury shares a talent row with Echo, it's not fun to play. These must change it somehow. Yeah, Ice Fury is now on Echo the Elements, and I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Like, I want that to be switched around. Like, move Ice Fury to, like, Earth and Rage. Or something. Switch these out. That way, nobody's gonna use this anyway. And we actually have the option to use Ice Fury and Echo the Elements at the same time. Blizzard, listen. This is what you need to do. Switch Ice Fury and Earth and Rage. Twitch chat needs it. By the way, this is being live recorded. That's why I'm talking to Twitch chat at the same time. Our AoE is strange. It's pretty much the same thing. I'll show you guys what it looks like. But I still want to get on track here with the way that we're looking on BFA. Spirit Wolf. We go into Ghost Wolf. We gain stacks of damage reduction. It's the same thing that Resto Shamans currently have with their artifact weapon. I think it's good, but it's a weird way of passively reducing your damage. Because if you think about it, you have to stop damaging the target, go into Ghost Wolf and sit there for like 3 seconds in order for you to reduce your damage taken by 20%. But you also gain a movement speed increase, so that's nice. Say like you need to actually move somewhere quickly, but also there's a damaging ability going out at the same time. This talent comes in handy. But when it's like, say if you're in a Mythic Plus and a huge like damaging ability is about to go out, like Hate Coil, for example, I have Ajara, the second boss, Mistress Hate Coil, or whatever her name is. When her shock goes out, I don't want to be sitting there for 3 seconds while she casts that. I want to be able to just proc an instant cast, like, damage reduction, like Astral Shift, and then avoid some of the damage. But no, I have to sit here for 3-4 seconds to gain maximum stacks to actually survive that ability. On the same tier, Earth Shock is nice. It's kind of annoying to constantly be casting this, though. You have 9 stacks. It's cool that we actually have a healing ability back. I actually kind of prefer this over Spirit Wolf, but I kind of forget it when I'm out leveling and stuff. Static Charge. It's nice. It's nice. We're our capacitor totem is now baseline. Lightning Surge totem on Legion is now baseline, so we have a stun totem now. Fantastic. Thank you. That's what Blizzard is doing right. They're actually giving us utility baseline. Unfortunately, we don't have Earth Grab totem anymore, which was really useful in PvP for stealth units to get them out of stealth, but anyway. Reduces the cooldown of your capacitor totem by 5 seconds for each enemy it stuns, up to a maximum of 20 reduction seconds. So the actual cooldown of this is a minute long, so we can get it down to 40 seconds, which is like pretty much live. Currently, the Lightning Surge totem on live cooldown is 45 seconds, so we can get it pretty close. Actually, a little bit less, which is nice. I'm gonna see if it works. Okay, yeah, so you can actually see that that works. My phone's going off right now. Going down to tier 75. Hold on. Doctor, we'll get to that. 75, Nature's Guardian. This is what we talked about, where it kind of got a little bit of a balancing tool. It's now just an instant health stone when you are reduced below 35% health. This is really nice. I actually prefer this over Ancestral Guidance. I don't understand why Windrush Totem's on here, though. Like, in all honesty, Earth Shield and Windrush should be switched. Because all three, this is a healing tier. This is like a healing utility tier. I understand like they want to give us different types of utility on the same bar or like spread out. I don't know. Maybe that's right. Like I'd like to have Static Charge or even Spirit Wolf and Windrush Totem to have more increased. 45 is Mythic Plus tier? Fine, whatever. Okay, yeah, you're right. Windrush Totem is nice on this because it gives us that added, like, utility. Nature's Guardian I find is, like, really, really good for Mythic Plus, though. Yes, I see what you're saying. They're defining the difference. It clicked after I kind of looked at it. Like, wait, we kind of want 2 utility totems. Yeah. So Nature's Guardian is fantastic for Mythic Plus. Hate Coil, again, brought below 25% health or 35% health. We're instantly getting a health or a health stone. Legion defensives, lol. BFA defenses, PogChamp. Yeah, exactly. These new raid fight. Yeah, exactly. So Ancestral Guidance, pretty much the same thing. 20% of your damage and healing is converted to healing on up to 3 nearby enemies, or sorry, injured party or raid members. Honestly, I'm just gonna be selfish all the time. I don't give a shit about this. If you die in my raid, you did something wrong. Use your defenses properly and that won't happen. So Nature's Guardian all the way. Alright. 90. Aftershock, Primal Elementalist, and Master of the Elements. Because I already play Aftershock on live, I always like this way more than anything else. Because it's just so damn smooth. Smooth criminal. Aftershock is a smooth criminal. It's so nice to play. Primal Elementalist, 80% more powerful. This would have been nice with Storm Elemental if Storm Elemental still gave us passive Maelstroming, like passive Maelstrom. But like, because they nerfed that, here, I'll show you guys if you don't remember. They nerfed Storm Elemental to not generate Maelstrom for the Shaman, which I don't even understand why they did that, because Fire Elemental generates Maelstrom with your Flame Shock. So if we switch into Storm Elemental, it just doesn't do that anymore. Let's see. Yeah, I just don't even gain any Maelstrom. I don't understand why they did this change, because it makes no sense. If it's replacing your Fire Elemental, have it still gain passive Maelstrom, because that's what the Fire Elemental does. Like, or give us 2 separate elementals. Because that's just honestly, Blizzard, that's really stupid. That change is really dumb. I don't like that at all. It doesn't make any sense. This is definitely something that Blizzard did wrong. I think that they could have changed. Like, this does that. Yeah, it speaks for itself. I'm not going to go too far into that. I wish you could spawn the Fire Ellie Earth. The Fire, like, Storm Earth elementals all at the same time. That'd be really cool. Yeah, that would make more sense. If Storm Elemental didn't, like, override Fire Elemental, I'd feel like the actual class fantasy for Elemental Shaman would be so much more. You're literally communing with the elements. You can summon elemental beings. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. But I just don't like that it replaces Fire Elemental, because passive Maelstrom for Fire Elemental now, and now that doesn't generate Maelstrom anymore. It doesn't. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're done talking about that. I'm getting overheated. Primal Elementalist. Jock is saying it's good for PvP. I agree with that, because you can get a stun out for your Earth Elemental. You can do some crazy freaking damage with your Fire Elemental within PvP. But Master of the Elements, casting Lava Burst increases the damage of your next Nature or Frost spell by 20%. So if I went into Ice Fury, I don't even understand why. Like, this shouldn't be on this tier for this reason again. It's kind of making this talent null, because why would I want to go into this if I can't even take advantage of this passive? If I'm in Echo of the Elements, I have 2 stacks of Lava Burst, which means I'm getting out more Lava Burst, right, than usual, because and Master of the Elements procs more often. If I roll with Ice Fury, I have less time. I can no longer use this talent as efficiently as I could with Echo of the Elements. So it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Ice Fury is for PvP. No longer for PvE. They're removing its gameplay for PvE. I don't like that. I don't like that decision at all. If that's true, like, that's another wrong thing, Blizzard, because Ice Fury gives us so much mobility. But we have a 15% proc chance from Flame Shock. Yeah, but that 15% proc chance is not enough to compensate for the loss of Echo of the Elements with Ice Fury. If we're talking about using this talent. You understand what I'm saying, though? If you look at how the talents are set up and what you'd use for PvP/PvP, well, I would always use Ice Fury for PvP, because then I would have the chance to use more different schools of spells, which is very important in PvP. If you get locked out of a certain spell, that's literally half of your kit if you're not using Ice Fury, right? But if you use Ice Fury, you have another school of spells to use. So yes, I understand. I understand why that would be used for PvP always. I use it for PvP in Legion. But I'm saying Master of the Elements and Ice Fury, incompatible. They should just remove the Frost spells by 20%, because I'm already not enticed to use this with Ice Fury at all. So, Unlimited Power. Now we're going into the 100 tier talents. Unlimited Power is one of the new tier talents that replaced Elemental Attunement. Or Earthen Attunement. What was that spell called? What was that talent called? Elemental Attunement. Okay. So increase the damage of your Earthquake or Earthshock spells by 20%. So this is it was our tier 21 2 set. but except for the frost spells, obviously. I actually really liked this as a spell. I really did, because tracking that just makes it nice. But they took it out, and then they replaced it with unlimited power, which is kind of like a weaker version of Ancestral Swiftness, because you actually have to Elemental Overload in order to gain the haste. Yeah, it's like, eh. It's like, eh. I don't like this. It could be better. I'm gonna tell you how it could be better, though. If your stacks that you gain while the effect is active, could actually give you an extra second or two for the duration of the ability, up to a certain amount of seconds, obviously. So it has a maximum of 10 seconds, right? For 10 seconds. The ability, okay, let's read what it says, and I'm kind of confusing myself. When your spells cause an elemental overload, you gain 2% haste for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Gaining a stack does not refresh the duration. I wish that gaining a stack gave you an extra second or a second and a half on the buff, up to a maximum stacks, I don't know, of like 15 seconds. A maximum duration of the ability of 15 seconds. I would like that, because that gives me a little bit more time to get those elemental overloads out, especially because right now your proc rate for your elemental overload is so low that this talent really, it's pretty much only 2 to 4% for its entire duration extra haste. Like I'm not even getting close to 10% haste ever. Yeah, I'm only getting like 2 to 3 extra. But with enough mastery, this will be active all the time. So we have 5% all the time, maybe? No, it's not even 5%. It's literally 10% extra haste. If this expansion, if mastery was the way to go, keep unlimited power the way it is. But because we don't see, or we don't know how good different stats are right now. We don't see damage meters. We don't have sims going. We have nothing to go on right now. This is a very lackluster talent without stats. Stormkeeper, on the other hand, is consistent. It's consistent for AoE and for single target, especially with the lightning rod build that I was talking about earlier. Remember this? Where it revolves around using lightning bolts in conjunction with earth shocks to increase the amount of damage you do with lightning bolts by a shit ton. Oh, it's so good. So good. You can do some really fancy stuff with this, and especially if like you need movement on a fight, this kills everything else on this tier. Lightning bolt spam, the future is now. Exactly. Ascendance just doesn't, for this build, it just doesn't. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little demonstration for you guys here. We're going to Totem Mastery, right? Yeah, so I'm gonna put that there, Totem Mastery here. Okay. I'll give you a demonstration. Lightning Bolt hits for 1.3 right now. There's the Earth Shock, 3.4, Stormkeeper, Lightning Bolt, 4k. There's one for 8k. There's another Earth Shock. See, this damage is nice. There's one for 10k. That was a 10k frickin' Lightning Bolt, guys. Flame Shock is not being kept up on the target just because, like, I can't. Yeah, the damage of Lightning Bolts, 10k, is huge. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. Like, and honestly, just by going by numbers, this build is the most consistent. Just by the amount of sheer crits that I'm getting from the spells. Yeah, it's really nice to see. There, I got a boots proc. So I'm gonna put those back to back. I have another Earth Shock coming up. And I'm still gaining like good amounts of Maelstrom. So this build is definitely really nice to have. Okay, this is the time that I told you about. Boom. Boom. You remember that? Where I was just like, hey, Stormkeeper really works if you get boots procs. Yeah, so currently on the on BFA Alpha, Lightning Bolt build works really nice. But is it fun? It's really not that fun. It's really cool to see those big lightning bolts. This would be interesting in PvP because you just wouldn't expect it. They will nerf it now. Thank you, Brock. They're not going to nerf this. Exposed Elements is very strong with Aftershock and Stormkeeper and High Voltage. Like, the Lightning Bolt spam build is very... It's nice. Oh, I was buffed with Brilliance. I was buffed with Arcane Intellect, so... Yeah. Stormkeeper let you overload with your Lightning Bolt for sure. Yeah. Does that mean that the third overload, if you pick Overcharge, will also 100% chance? Or so 1 instant Lightning Bolt for Stormkeeper equals 3 Lightning Bolts? That's possible. Yeah, that's definitely possible. So picture that real quick, guys. High Voltage, Exposed Elements, Totem Mastery, and Stormkeeper, okay? We just charge up Stormkeeper. We have a 200% increase in... Please give me a demonstration of this. Okay. 1, 2. I only got 2 hits there with Lightning Bolts. I don't think that it's a 100% chance. But that was an 11k Lightning Bolt, just saying. On Stormkeeper and Exposed Elements. So it's really strong. That means that the 200% increase in damage for your instant cast Lightning Bolts, maybe that carries over to your Mastery. I don't know. That didn't really make sense though there, because you saw the 11k crit Lightning Bolt there, right? But then I didn't see anything close to that with the Overload. My Overload just hit and critted for 9.9k. Okay, so that must have been in High Voltage. It's really hard right now to see what actually is happening because we don't have add-ons to see where the damage is coming from. If I had mic scrolling battle text, I'd be able to see, okay, so they just hit the target for 2 because, you know, you have that capability. Or if I had details or a damage meter, I can see all that stuff. But right now, just based off of actually seeing right now, just by actually seeing the numbers in front of me, this Lightning Rod build seems to be the biggest damaging abilities, or damaging. Look in chat, battle log. Let's see. Okay, so you guys can't see this. Can I? There we go. Lightning Bolt Overload hit Training Dummy 1 nature spell, so it didn't do the High Voltage, but it critted for 9.6. Okay. So you can see that Lightning Bolt hit there for 4.4, and then it overloaded for 9.6 for a critical strike. That's interesting. I always thought Overload, your Mastery, was a set to trigger a second cast for 85% of normal damage. Yeah, I never thought that was able to crit though. Interesting. We can't go much further back to see, but that's what I'm talking about, guys. Like, the Lightning Bolt spam build is very nice. Consistent damage, obviously, like we talked about. Like, we could go over Ascendance and stuff like that, but this is what I'm seeing to be the highest damaging abilities, or the highest damage output. So we're gonna keep it at that. And now I'm going to log over and talk about Azurite armor, because I want to show you guys my opinions on the Azurite armor that we have. Here on the Alpha, we were blessed with the new addition into the build, the first piece of Azurite armor, and all of its glory and all of its passives that I don't want. Currently, The passives that you have on the Azurite armors are very lackluster, and I will definitely give some pointers on how you can improve this, but we'll go over them. Champion of Azeroth. Contributing to the death of an enemy of Azeroth heals you for 786 and grants you 26 versatility for 1 minute. Stacks up to 2 times. Cool. Pretty good for Mythic Plus, I'd say. Reducing the damage I take over those 2 minutes. Also giving me a nice heal. You know, every time I kill an enemy, I get 786 health. That's nice, but it's like at max level when I have over 50k health. That's nothing. I'm sure this will scale in the future. Volcanic Lightning. Lava burst on a target that has been struck by your lightning bolt in the last 4 seconds deals an additional 97 damage. Again, this will probably scale. And again, this will probably be really good with the lightning bolt build. I would not play Echo of the Elements with this, though. I don't think I would. Because I don't want to spend all my time casting Lava Burst. I want to be spending my time casting Lightning Bolt, right? Just to do a little bit of a digress there. And go back to what we talked about with the talents. Netherlight Armor. Ew. It's a gross name. But consider that you can have or will have the same traits 3 times. So that's not bad. No, that's terrible. I don't want passive traits for my Azurite armor. I want stuff that's going to define my style of gameplay. I want different abilities. I want new totems to use for raid utility or new actives. Like I want Gust of Wind to be a trait on Azurite armor. That's what I want. Because right now, they took it out. That was the best spell shamans have ever gotten. Was Gust of Wind. And they took it out after the first expansion. I literally thought that this was it. And I was like, thank Jesus. Because it had the same spell icon. And then I read it and I was like, oh. Disappointed again. I want Azurite armor to define the type of playstyle that you are as a player. I don't want to have these passive abilities that just do passive shit that's not interesting. Well, basically, you just have 2 choices. Versatility for 1 minute or the Lava Burst Lightning Bolt damage. The other 2 are for Enhance and Healing. Exactly. Like, this doesn't feel spec-specific at all. I understand why they did this, though, because everything transfers over when you switch specs. But if you have 1 piece of a chest for Azurite, if you only have 1 Azurite armor piece, you're locked into this, are you not? It doesn't make really much sense to do that. Here's the enhanced one. Primal Primer. Nice name. Melee attacks with Flame Tongue active increases the damage the target takes from your next Lava Lash by 19. Stacks up to 10 times. That's cool. That's like the current thing that Enhancement Shamans already have on their talent tree. Not their talent tree. I think it's like a artifacts trait or something. The next one, Soothing Waters. Your chain heal heals its primary target for an additional 29 healing. Nice little passive healing buff. That's nice for healers, but not for... I don't want to see passive shit for DPS. I want to see raid utility. Gut Ripper. Your damaging abilities have a chance to deal 437 physical damage to the target. Gut Ripper occurs much more often against targets below 30% health. This is interesting because shamans don't have a execute. So this would be cool to have for a shaman. If it actually like ramped up pretty high. If this works for actual like elemental play, this might be worth playing. This might be worth playing. That's like the only time I actually like a passive ability, if it's an execute. For 30%, that's nice. Elemental Whirl. It's a passive elemental blast. Except it actually has more stats. What? Has more stats given to you than a talent. What the hell, Blizzard? I get 91 increase to a stat from Elemental Blast, and the Azurite armor gives me 97. Well, Blizzard, please. They don't make this obsolete. I'd rather go in exposed elements. Doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Wound Binder. Wound Bender. Wound Binder. Your healing effects have a chance to increase your haste by up to 78 for 6 seconds. Healing lower health targets will grant you more haste. Interesting. I actually really like that. Again, for healing, passive abilities are nice. For DPS, no. Like, even for healing, like, I want different utilities too, but, like, I want, like I said before, I want the Azurite armor to kind of, like, change up the playstyle that we have. I don't want it to be, like, another best talent tree to go because it's best. So I'm a little disappointed in a lot of these traits already. Gut Ripper's nice, I like it. Vampiric Speed. When an enemy you damage dies, you heal for 786 and gain 60 movement speed for 6 seconds. Nice for Mythic Plus. Very nice for Mythic Plus. I wish this stacked, though. I wish the speed stacked, just like Champion of Azeroth. And here is Baby Pridaz. Every 30 seconds, you gain an absorbed shield for 262 for 30 seconds. Yeah, Baby Pridaz, this better be a bigger value because 262. I'm sure this might go up with more levels that you have. I've yet to test that, but like, yeah, I don't like this already. Baby Pridaz ain't good for me. And then the final trait, Azurite Empowered. Increase the item level of this item by 5. Alright. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, closing out on this, I really don't like the traits that they decided to go with for the first round. Of course, this is still alpha, so things are subject to change, guys. Everything's not set in stone. I'm just simply giving my opinion for the current build. And these videos are going to be coming out more and more often. But now that we're back on my main, I want to show you guys the damage that goes out, I guess, with the Ascendance build. I think we're still going to play Aftershock. Actually, no, we'll play Master of the Elements just because we're casting more Lava Bursts. Let's do that. Okay. I'll show you guys quickly what it looks like with this. Refresh, go into Ascendance. Now spam. Spam those Lava Bursts. Crits on crits. 4.6 Lava Burst crits. Earth Shock. Earth Shock. Lava Burst. Earth Shock. Earth Shock. Refresh. And I forgot Elemental Blast. Am I getting those? Okay. So Elemental Master of the Elements goes on me. That's cool. I'm glad it doesn't go on the target because that would be dumb. It would make target switching really annoying. Currently on the alpha, though, your Lava Burst crit automatically whether or not you go, or whether or not you have a Flame Shock on the target. So, but did you see that? It's kind of wonky. It's not giving me a Master of the Elements buff every time I cast Lava Burst, or I'm not seeing it. Okay, that was strange. Did you see that? So I casted... Alright. I saw something that I don't like. I casted Lava Burst, but immediately used Earth Shock afterwards. And it took the Master of the Elements buff away, but the Earth Shock obviously hit the target before the Lava Burst did. So maybe the way that this works is that as soon as you cast Lava Burst, you have the effect on you. But I saw it when it hit the target. It may just take an extra second to activate. I don't know. It's weird. I don't trust it. I'd rather play the Lightning Bolt build, and until I actually see numbers on the alpha, so when I get add-ons going, when they are actually allowed to see damage meters and stuff, maybe we can make a more informed and educated decision. But this is the first of many Battle for Azeroth videos that I'm going to be putting out for you guys. Like it if you like it. Subscribe if you want more Elemental Shaman content. Again, I showed you guys a lot of stuff today, including some different talent changes, talent setups that I find to be the highest damage output based on what I'm seeing on the target dummy. 10, 11k crits for lightning bolts. That's, wow, highest damaging ability. That's really fun. But yeah, like I said, like it if you like it, subscribe if you want more Elemental Shaman content. If you guys want to check out my Twitter and Instagram, those will be in the video's description down below, along with my twitch.tv live stream, where I stream pretty much every day. So you guys can come and hang out there, ask me live questions, and just hang out, you know, have some fun in the chat and stuff. Yeah, but until next time, guys, see ya.